My daughter called me weak for leaving her mother after a 20-year affair. We weren't even married. I handed her a DNA test and her biological father's address and said, "You have 30 minutes to pack your things. You're not a real man, leaving your mother on the streets for her little infidelity mistake 20 years ago. Pathetic." That's when my daughter, Jolly, spat those words in my face. Her lips curled, and she argued as if I was the villain. She stood there, tall, cold, smug, defending her mother, the same woman I just found out the daughter she raised with me wasn't mine, not biologically, not legally, not emotionally. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't blink. I simply reached into the envelope in my hand and pulled out 2 documents, the DNA test and the address of her real father. "Take this," I said calmly, "and pack your things. You have 30 minutes. Let me rewind. It all started with a phone call, one of those late-night calls you answer half asleep, thinking it's a telemarketer or maybe an emergency. Turns out it was both. A guy named Marcus, slurring drunk and bitter, asked if I ever wondered why Jolly didn't look like me. He called me bro, like we were teammates in the same messed-up league. I hung up, but the seed was planted. I couldn't sleep after that. I sat on the edge of the bed watching my wife, Daniele, snore softly as if nothing in the world could touch her. Daniele, my wife of 22 years, the love of my life, or so I thought. The next few weeks were a blur. I took the hairbrush Jolly used and sent it to some lab I found online, $99 for the truth. I didn't even tell Daniele. I couldn't. Not yet. I needed to know if Marcus was just a bitter drunk or if I'd been living in a beautifully decorated lie. The results arrived 2 days before our anniversary, 0% match. I stared at that paper like it had stabbed me in the gut. My hands shook. I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny. No, not even close. But because I had no idea what else to do. I had raised this girl, paid for her braces, cheered her on at high school graduation, held her when her first boyfriend broke her heart, and now she wasn't mine, biologically at least. And Daniele, that woman had been lying to me every single day of our marriage. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to see what else I could find. Curiosity turned into obsession. I started going through old photo albums, calendar dates, anything that could make sense of the timeline. That's when I found the diary. She used to write in it when we first got married. She thought I never read it. July 3rd, shouldn't have gone to that club, but I felt good. 5 guys, God, I was reckless, but he'll never know. He was on that stupid business trip. Still can't stop thinking about Marcus. My heart stopped. 5 guys. She didn't just cheat once, it was betrayal in bulk. And while I worked double shifts to save up for our first house, she was playing roulette with strangers. The next morning, I set the table, toast, coffee, the DNA results placed right in the center, the diary right next to it. She came down in her usual silk robe, like nothing had changed. She smiled at me like she deserved a medal. "What's all this?" she asked. "Breakfast," I said, "and a funeral." She blinked, confused. I slid the papers over. Silence. She stared at them, her eyes narrowing. "You went through my diary? That's what you're worried about," she scoffed. "Oh, please, Alex, that was decades ago. We weren't even married. So what? You're going to destroy our family over something that happened before your precious wedding ring landed on my finger. You lied. Every single day. It was just a stupid night. Get over it." No, it wasn't just one night. It was 5. 5 men and a daughter that isn't even. My mind trailed off. That's when Jolly walked in. She looked at the papers, at her mom, then at me. "You're pathetic," she said to me. Daniele didn't even deny it. She crossed her arms and smirked like she'd won. So I stood up. Calm. Serene. "You have 30 minutes to pack your things," I said, handing Jolly Marcus's address. "Go meet your real father." I'm done playing the clown. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Jolly slammed the door behind her as she stomped upstairs, muttering curses under her breath. I didn't chase after her. I didn't even flinch. I just stood there in the kitchen, watching Daniele sip her coffee like it was any other Wednesday. "Are you really going to let this ruin everything?" she asked, leaning against the counter, coming across as a corpse. "Are you really throwing away 22 years over a technicality?" "A technicality?" I said slowly. "You mean a five-dick technicality?" Daniele shrugged. "We weren't married." "Then why lie for 2 decades?" I snapped. "Why make me believe Jolly was mine? Why build a family on lies?" She rolled her eyes. "Because you wouldn't have stayed if I told you the truth. And I needed you. Then." Simple. That was like a punch to the gut. No apologies. No guilt. Just cold logic. You needed me. Like a paycheck. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I sat down slowly at the table, trying to process what was happening. My ears were buzzing. Not with rage. Not yet, that would come later. But with disbelief. The woman I'd trusted with everything, the woman I'd stood by through depression, debt, 2 surgeries, was standing in front of me, emotionally bankrupt. She finally put down her coffee mug and looked me dead in the eyes. "What's your plan, Alex? Gonna cry to your lawyer? Get the house? Good luck. Half of it is mine." I looked at her for a long moment. She didn't know I'd already spoken to a lawyer. She didn't know I'd already reviewed our finances, scrubbed my name off her personal debts, made copies of every joint account and investment. She thought I was still the same naive man who kissed her forehead every night and brought her breakfast in bed on Sundays. But I had changed in the last 48 hours. I'd burned my old version of me alive. "I'm not crying to anyone," I said quietly. "I'm making a bonfire." She chuckled. "You're pathetic. You're going to ruin everything over a single mistake." 5 mistakes. 1 lie. And a lifetime of pretending. Daniele shifted suddenly, and her smirk faltered a bit. "You really think she'll want to stay with you after this? Jolly is my daughter. She'll come with me. You're no longer leverage." "She's an adult," I said coldly. "She'll decide for herself." I just told her the truth. "Something you never did." She narrowed her eyes. "And what? Now you're going to play the noble victim." "I'm not playing the victim. I'm playing the man who's no longer being played." I stood up, my heart pounding like a jackhammer. I wanted to yell. I wanted to throw every dish in the kitchen against the wall. But I didn't. It would have been too easy. Too expected. I wanted her to feel it, the pressure building slowly, the everything she'd built on lies crumbling silently. "You have an hour to call whoever you're staying with. I'll be changing the locks after." She laughed, but now her voice cracked. The smugness was fading. "You can't just kick me out like this, Alex. I have rights." "Sure you do. But I have evidence and a lawyer eager to scorch some earth." She picked up her phone and turned away, muttering something under her breath. Watching her leave the room, something in me settled. Not rage. Not sadness. Just clarity. I had spent 2 decades thinking I was building a life with a woman who loved me. Turns out I was a supporting character in her long con. But now the story was mine to write. And Daniele had no idea how bad it was about to get. An hour passed. I heard nothing but the faint hum of Danielle's voice behind the bedroom door, furious, clipped, then feigning sweetness as she called whoever she thought would rescue her. Probably one of her former support mates. Hell, maybe even Marcus. The irony churned my stomach. Exactly at the 60-minute mark, I went upstairs. She was stuffing clothes into a suitcase, not folded, but crammed. Rage and panic will do that to you. Her hands were shaking, but her face regained its satisfaction as soon as she saw me. "You know, you're making a huge mistake," she said without even looking at me. "This tantrum, what you're doing, it's going to backfire. Jolly is going to hate you for this." "She already does," I replied, leaning against the door frame. "But when she finds out the whole truth, she'll hate you even more, Daniele." Daniele zipped the suitcase shut with a sharp yank. "Truth? What truth? You told her I was sleeping around? You gave her a test result? Wow. I pulled a USB drive out of my pocket and twirled it between my fingers. She froze. What's that? Backup. Sent copies to my lawyer, a backup drive, and to my brother, just in case. Her nostrils flared. You're disgusting. No, I said calmly. I'm prepared. The look on her eyes was priceless. Rage mixed with fear. She didn't think I had the guts. She thought I'd fold, like always. She grabbed her phone and started frantically texting, probably planning her next landing. I didn't stop her. I didn't care anymore. Then the doorbell rang. We both froze. She looked at me, suddenly unsure. I went downstairs and opened the door, and there he was, a man in a cheap suit, hair slicked back, a smile that made my blood boil. Alex, right? I'm T, Danielle's lawyer. Just here to talk. Nothing official. I didn't even blink. You're 58 minutes early. She's off the lease. He smirked. Really going through with this, huh? All over a misunderstanding. Yes, a misunderstanding between 5 strangers and a paternity test. He chuckled. Okay. Look, she's willing to settle amicably. She wants the car, a small alimony, and visitation rights. And Jolly moves with you. I stared at him. She doesn't understand, does she? His eyebrows went up. Come on, man, that's not how divorce works. I handed him a manila envelope. Inside were financial statements, photos of Danielle with Marcus and Vegas from only 5 years ago, not 20, and a copy of her diary, the one where she bragged about keeping Alex blind and stupid. He read in silence, then closed the envelope slowly. Okay, he said, suddenly sober. Let me talk to my client. I closed the door. Upstairs, Danielle must have seen his face through the window, because when I went back up, she was pale. I told you, I said quietly. I'm not your husband anymore. I'm the cleanup crew for the mess you made. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, and finally, the mask broke. You were never enough for me, she said, her voice ice cold. You were always too soft, too needy. I married you because I was pregnant and scared, not because I loved you. I smiled. Thanks for the clarity. She shoved past me with her suitcase and stomped down the stairs. As she opened the door, she looked back one last time. This isn't over. I nodded. No, it's just beginning. And then she was gone. I stood alone in the hallway, the silence louder than her footsteps. For the first time in years, I felt something new. Not heartbreak. Not betrayal. Freedom. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of regret. Not because I missed her. No, those emotions died the second she said I was never enough. That was the bullet through the heart I didn't know I needed. I sat in Jolly's room, in the same spot where I used to read her bedtime stories. The light from her lava lamp still pulsed against the walls, just like when she was 7, and yet everything was different now. Every photo on the shelf, every memory etched into this house, it felt stolen. I kept replaying the look she gave me, that sneer. She argued as if I was the one who betrayed the family. As if I was the monster. I tried calling her. It went straight to voicemail. She didn't reply to my texts. At noon the next day, I got a text from her. By the way, don't ever contact me again. Just like that. My daughter, well, not biologically, but mine in every way that mattered, had chosen her mother over the truth, over the man who raised her, paid her college tuition, and stayed up by her hospital bed when she was sick. I stared at the message for a long time. It felt colder than anything Danielle had said. I went down to the garage, grabbed a bottle of Jack Daniels I hadn't touched in years, and opened it without a second thought. 2 gulps, let it burn. That's when my brother called. You holding up? He asked. No, I said. She's gone. Jolly too. He was silent for a beat. I know you won't want to hear this, but you need to be on your guard. Danielle isn't the type to go down quietly. I have the proof, all of it. Yeah, and she's got a head full of venom. She'll spin this any way she wants. He wasn't wrong. Daniele was a master manipulator. She could convince a judge the sun was cold. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I was done being the doormat. Done being the nice guy they bulldozed over. That night, the doorbell rang again. I opened it to a woman I hadn't seen in nearly a decade. Kendra, an old friend of Danielle's, the one who mysteriously disappeared from our lives after a vacation to Miami. She looked nervous. "Can I come in?" she asked. "I need to tell you something." We sat at the kitchen table. She kept glancing around, as if afraid Daniele would appear from a closet. "I heard what happened," she said, "and I need to tell you something." I didn't say anything, just waited. "Remember that trip to Miami? The one Daniele took with some girlfriends?" I nodded. She lied. It wasn't a girls' trip. It was a cover-up. She met up with Marcus and 2 other guys. They had this thing. I didn't want to be a part of it. I left after one night. I clenched my jaw. "And now you're telling me this?" "Why?" "Because I didn't know she was still lying to you." I don't know. I thought you knew. But when I heard she got kicked out and Jolly left too, I thought you'd need someone on your side." I leaned back in my chair. "Did she ever talk about me back then?" Kendra hesitated, then nodded. "She said you were boring, that being with you was like being in a coma. She said raising a kid with a guy like you is safe, but not exciting." I closed my eyes for a second, let it sink in, let it burn. Then I opened them again. "Thanks for telling me, Kendra." She stood up. "I'm sorry, Alex. I truly am." She left, and just like that, another brick from the wall of lies crumbled. The woman I gave everything to thought I was boring. Safe. A placeholder. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to decimate her legacy. Legally. Publicly. Emotionally. She lit the match. I was going to provide the gasoline. The next morning, I put on my best suit. Not for court. Not for a meeting. For war. Daniele thought this was about heartbreak, about betrayal, about love gone sour. But she still didn't get it. She hadn't just destroyed a marriage. She had humiliated a man who dedicated his life to building a kingdom for her to rule. And now I was taking back every single stone of that kingdom. First stop, my lawyer, Grant Lawson. A pitbull in a blazer. I chose him for a reason. He didn't believe in fair fights. He believed in scorched earth tactics and permanent reputational damage. He looked up from the file I'd dropped on his desk. "Seriously? You're willing to risk everything?" "She wants a fight," I said. "I'm going to give her one." Grant nodded. "Good. She's been busy. Already filed for alimony, claiming emotional distress, familial instability, coercion, even this, psychological abuse." I actually laughed. Psychological abuse. From me? She's playing the system. She knows how it works. But here's what she didn't expect. Your receipts. He opened the folder and pulled out the Vegas photos, message screenshots, her diary, Daddy's financial records showing he used our joint account to wire money to Marcus and 2 other men she slept with. "She messed with the system," he said with a smile. "Give me 2 weeks. I'll have her begging for a settlement with nothing but her suitcase and a used toothbrush." "Not enough," I said. Grant cocked an eyebrow. "You want to go beyond the divorce?" "I want it all. Her social standing. Her circle. Her job. Her influencer image. If she built her fame on lies, I'm going to rip it off her like duct tape." He leaned back. "Then we're talking PR, social strategy, maybe even some private investigation." Update 1. Do it. And so it was official. I took the gloves off. By noon, I'd shut down her access to all joint accounts, canceled the cards she used for her shopping sprees, notified my accountant to freeze our assets pending legal separation. I didn't care if it inconvenienced me. I wanted her to feel it, always a single mother or praying that night. I went to the local community center, the one where I volunteered twice a week, the one where she paraded around as the loyal mother, the devoted wife, the pillar of the community. I walked in and handed the director a sealed envelope. Inside, I said, "You'll find photographic evidence of Ms. Biel's volunteer and community fund activities, purchase screenshots made with donation money, and a signed letter from a former friend who witnessed it." The director opened the envelope and paled. "Who are you?" "Her husband. Soon-to-be ex." He didn't ask anything else. Danielle's reputation crumbled before sunset. She called that night. I let it ring 10 times before answering. "What did you do?" she shrieked. "I just got suspended from the center. My cards aren't working. My lawyer says you're leaking this to the public. You made it public when you lied to my face every single day for 22 years, I said coldly. "This isn't revenge. This is correction. You're destroying my life. I'm giving you a taste of what happened to mine the day I found out Jolly wasn't mine." She paused. I could hear her breathing, rapid, shaky, and suddenly weak. Then her voice cracked. "Alex, can we please fix this? You and I have been through worse. Don't throw this away." I laughed. "Oh no, Danielle. You threw it away the second you climbed into that hotel bed in Vegas. Or maybe it was years earlier, when you wrote in your diary how much you hated waking up next to silence. You think you're strong," I added. "You haven't seen anything yet." I hung up. I didn't want justice anymore. I wanted ruin. And I'd barely begun. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. "Alex, it's Taylor." I paused. Taylor was Danielle's best friend from college, maid of honor at our wedding, Jolly's godmother. "What do you want?" "To talk. Off the record." I agreed to meet at a local diner. I picked the corner booth, where I could see the door and the street. I didn't trust anyone in Danielle's circle anymore. Taylor arrived wearing sunglasses that hid her eyes, but her energy was different. Nervous. Uneasy. She sat across from me and didn't order anything. "I know you have every reason to hate me," she began, "but you need to know that most of us had no idea who Danielle really was." I raised an eyebrow. "Most?" She exhaled. "Some of us suspected things. The trips, the strange guys that kept showing up. She always had excuses, covered her tracks. Made you look controlling and insecure, emotionally cold." I scoffed. "Of course she did. But after your exposé went public, everything crumbled pretty quickly." She continued, her story tumbling out. It stopped adding up. People started comparing notes. It wasn't you who was lying. It was her. To everyone. I leaned back, crossed my arms. "And why are you here?" "Because I don't want to cover for her anymore." "And why do I need to know that?" "What's coming?" That caught my attention. "She's trying to spin this whole thing, painting you as this narcissistic, manipulative gaslighter who trapped her in a cold marriage. She's crafting this whole sob story arc about being a scared young woman forced to keep secrets to survive. And she's using Jolly too, parading her around interviews, saying you psychologically abused both of them." I felt a knot in my stomach. Jolly, the child I raised, loved, protected, used as a pawn. "I have proof she's lying," I said. "You'll need more," Taylor replied. "She's reaching out to the media, the influencer world. They'll want to spin this before it gets out of control." I didn't answer. I stared at the coffee in front of me, black and bitter, just like she liked it. Taylor slid an envelope across the table. "These are screenshots of our group chats, voice notes, things she sent me years ago about the guys, the lies, even one where she jokes about how Jolly looks more like Marcus than you." I went through them slowly. My hands were shaking again, but not with hurt, with the cold precision forming in my mind. "Why now?" I asked. "Why are you helping me?" Taylor hesitated. "Because I was one of the idiots she used. She made me lie to you, tell you we were out shopping while she was hooking up with some guy at a hotel. I didn't think she'd involve Jolly in this, like this." I nodded once. I took the envelope. "Thank you." She stood up. "For what it's worth, I always thought you deserved better." When she was gone, I called Grant. "We need to go public," I said. "Release everything. The photos, The messages, the diary. I want her exposed so thoroughly that no one will ever take her seriously again. Grant's voice frightened. Already ahead of you. Got a media strategist. We're prepping a timeline for Monday. We left it at that. That weekend, I stayed quiet. Danielle posted 2 reels on Instagram, one crying in her car, talking about betrayal, painting herself as a victim of the male ego and the patriarchy. The comments were full of sympathy. So strong. Men are trash. She deserves peace. I didn't respond. I waited. Monday came, and with it, hellfire. We dropped the bomb. An exposé with a single headline, "The Wife Who Lied for 20 Years, a Father's Story of Complete Betrayal." Screenshots, audio, documents, even a lawyer's summary confirming the falsified paternity, the financial fraud. By noon, her comments section was a meltdown. By nightfall, she was trending for all the wrong reasons. Her sponsors dropped her. Her charity removed her from the board. And Jolly texted me, "We need to talk." It was 7:42 p.m. when I heard the front door open. No knock. No text. Just the click of the lock, the slow creak, and the sound of sneakers on hardwood. I didn't move from the living room couch. I knew who it was. Jolly walked in like she still belonged here, like the weight of her silence hadn't crushed me for a week straight. She wore a hoodie, her hair pulled back, as puffy-eyed as if she'd been crying all day. We stared at each other in silence for a few long seconds. Finally, she spoke. "Is it all true?" I didn't answer with words. I just picked up the folder from the coffee table and handed it to her. The same one I'd used to dismantle Danielle's narrative. She sat down slowly, opened it, and began to flip through the evidence. The photos, the DNA results, the financial records, her mother's diary. Page after page. Another 10 minutes passed in silence. Then Jolly closed the folder, leaned back, and stared at the ceiling. "I thought you were just being bitter." "What? Were you trying to punish her?" I said, but not with lies. I didn't need to make anything up. She swallowed hard. "She said you hit her once. That you yelled at her. That you told her I wasn't your daughter, just to hurt her." "I never laid a hand on her. Never yelled at her. And I didn't tell you about the DNA to punish her. I told you because you deserve the truth, no matter how ugly." She was quiet for a while, then whispered, "I told you not to contact me again." "I know." She looked at me, and for the first time since this all started, I saw it. The doubt in her eyes morphing into guilt. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't know who to believe." "You believed her?" "I raised you for 22 years. And for a second, someone else cried harder. You switched sides." She winced. "I didn't mean to choose. It was just, everything was happening so fast." She was falling apart. She said she had nothing left. "I thought she needed me." "And what about me?" I asked, my voice not raised but sharper than any shout. What was I? A broken tool? Something to discard if I didn't fit her version of the truth. "I was scared," she said. "Me too." The room fell silent. She looked down. I took a paternity test. I had to know. And it matched. Marcus is my biological father. My stomach twisted, but I nodded. I already knew. Still, hearing her say it made it real. "So now what?" I asked. "I don't know," she whispered. I want to be angry with her, but she's still my mom. And I don't know what that makes me. It makes you Jolly. Still the kid I taught to ride a bike, the one who couldn't sleep without her nightlight. But I'm not your dad anymore. Not legally. Not on paper." Her eyes welled up. "Do you still love me?" I didn't flinch. "I don't know. I want to. But I don't even know who you were anymore." She cried, and I let her. No hugs. No comfort. Not yet. That chapter hadn't been earned. After a few minutes, she stood up. "I'm going." She reached the door, then turned back. "She's not okay," she said. She's completely falling apart. No friends left. No job. No plan. She said you took everything from her. I looked her in the eye. She took everything from me. I just took it back. She opened the door. If she does something reckless, it's your fault. I raised an eyebrow. No, Jolly. If she does something reckless, it's her responsibility. That's the one thing they never understand. Actions have consequences. The door clicked shut behind her, and for the first time since Daniele left, I felt peace. But it didn't last long because an hour later, the police showed up at my door. Blue and red lights danced across the windows like a twisted celebration. I opened the door and was met by two uniformed officers, stern, silent, and clearly not there for a friendly chat. Alex Carter, the taller one, asked. Yes, we need to ask you to come with us. There's been an accusation of domestic violence and threats against your ex-wife. Just need to ask you a few questions. I froze. It was a setup. Danielle's last card. Dirty, desperate, and designed to bury me alive. I didn't resist. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just nodded, grabbed my coat, and followed them. My lawyer's card was already in my wallet, waiting for this exact moment. Sitting in that cold, sterile interrogation room, one thought kept circling my head. I'd rather destroy myself than admit she'd won. The officer across from me read Danielle's statement aloud. She claimed I'd gone to her temporary apartment 2 nights prior, slammed her against the wall, yelled at her, told her I'd ruined her life, and threatened to kill her if she didn't disappear. Pure fiction. I hadn't seen her since the day she walked out of my house with that suitcase. And she knew it. But she also knew that in situations like these, perception often trumps truth, at least at first. Do you have an alibi for that night? The officer asked. I smiled grimly. Yes, I was home, alone, watching the emails roll in that were dismantling her reputation. Anyone can confirm it. My lawyer was sending me documents that night. Check the timestamps. You'll see I was online, not assaulting anyone. The cop made a note of it. And your daughter said you seemed unstable when she visited you yesterday. I narrowed my eyes. That unstable man handed her the folder of evidence she used to confront her lying mother. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't touch her. Ask her yourself. The officer stared at me for a moment, then nodded. An hour later, they let me go. No charges. Just a thorough investigation. I stepped out into the cold night air, my phone buzzing in my pocket. Grant. It was BS. They filed it, huh? Yeah. She's drowning, he said. And when people drown, they grab at anything, even if it means dragging others down with them. I want a restraining order, I said. I want her to be unable to contact me in any way. And if she so much as looks at me, I want her held in contempt. We're filing first thing tomorrow morning. I hung up, got in my car, and just sat there for a while, watching people pass by, wondering how many of them were living in a lie just like me, smiling despite the rot. When I got home, the silence hit harder than usual. No echo of laughter. No smell of dinner. No Jolly. No wedding pictures. Just me. Alone. But not broken. I went into the bedroom, opened the drawer where I kept Danielle's love letters, and dumped them in the fireplace. Lit a match. Watched them turn to ash. A few days passed. The accusation didn't stick. Daniele had no bruises, no witnesses, no proof. The police let it go quietly. But her name was already poisoned beyond repair. Sponsors were gone. Accounts suspended. Friends quickly disappearing. Jolly texted again. Just one word, sorry. I didn't reply. She'd made her choice. Now she'd live with it. A month later, the divorce was finalized. No alimony. No house. No cars. Daniele walked away with exactly what she brought into the marriage. Nothing. I stood in the courtroom, looking at her one last time. Her face was blank. No makeup. No smugness. Just regret curdling into hate. As I turned to leave, she stopped me. You think you won? She whispered. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, I said. I didn't win. I survived. And you destroyed everything you touched. She opened her mouth, but I was already walking away. Update 3. What did I learn? That love built on lies always collapses. That blind loyalty can be fatal. And that the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. To anyone reading this, let me give you one piece of advice. Never ignore the red flags just because you love the color. Because one day, you might wake up next to someone who isn't just lying to you, they're building your prison.